Nope.
Mr. Woods, I'm Detective Brandon Hill. He simply stared. The occasional flickering of the fluorescent light above us served as a reminder of our department's budget. We had caught him moments ago, lurking around a school by Riverport, for God's sake. You've been arrested for the murder of 7 individuals in the Riverport area. I tapped my index finger on my tongue and passed some files across the table that contained images of the victims. Gruesome ones. He looked down and gazed at them, as if reliving them. He looked proud. Tell me, I began, scooting my chair closer to the cold steel table between us. Looking at all this, how do you feel? He remained silent for a moment that felt like an eternity with him. He smirked. Then, still seated and still smirking, he slowly leaned forward and lowered his head until his chin barely touched the table, and his eyes glaring up at me replied, "Feel?" I gulped louder than I should have. Yeah, how do you feel about what you did? What does that mean? I realized the ridiculousness of the question. I was talking to someone who had the same emotional reaction murdering people that I do swatting flies. Still, he was playing with me. I don't understand the question, Detective. He continued, trying to hide his smile. Keith Woods was one of the most clean-cut people I had ever met. His pitch-black hair slightly sloped across his forehead and almost met with his thick eyebrows. His fingernails were trimmed perfectly, and his face was spotless and filled with youth. He wore a white dress-up shirt and black jeans. I didn't want to begin to imagine where his tie was, what he may have used it for. I continued my questioning. We don't often get young men sitting here, especially one who just graduated with their masters, in an interrogation room, cuffed. I sat back with my arms crossed, awaiting his response. His white buttoned-up shirt almost glowed against the lights in the room. I sat there for a moment and imagined. Not a single stain or speck of dust on it. But in reality, he was colored in his victim's blood. Just thinking of that white shirt plastered in red. Appearance truly is everything. I did not ruin my life, he answered. Can't say the same for... He suddenly burst out in an obnoxious loud laughter, akin to that of a hyena. I was not amused, and neither were the officers watching from the other side of the one-way mirror. I recollected the files I had put before him, going through the images for myself one last time. One in particular challenged my ability to keep my professionalism. A 19-year-old boy, Thomas Goodman, beaten to death. Mr. Woods had an envelope delivered to the boy's parents on Christmas morning. For anyone who dares to question my ability to keep myself in check in the face of evil, remember that one. Could you hold back? I continued my questioning. Mr. Woods, tell me about Jessica Lopez, A small grin appeared on his face. He sat back and tapped his shiny loafers against the floor, as if thinking. "What about it?" "What did you do to her? Do you remember?" "Of course I do, Detective. In fact..." He opened his mouth and picked at his teeth, the chains of his cuffs rattling. "I can still taste her." I sat back and waited for him to regain his composure after he spent a good minute laughing like a lunatic. In the 20 years I've been doing this, I've never met a more vile monster. Not in my life. I just wanted to reach over the table right then and grab him by his skinny throat. You never would have guessed him, of all people, would be capable of something like that. And that's what's truly horrifying. He was young, clean, teeth as white as snow, and well dressed. All complete with a touch of cologne, just to fool you a little further. Keith. "Ooh, my first name. How up close and personal of you, Detective." His eyes widened, disturbingly so. He was having fun now. This wasn't an interrogation anymore. But could you blame me for failing this interview? How do you even begin to intimidate evil itself? I continued. You leave behind an envelope. To the families of the victims. They have a red spot, or mark, on them. We ran some tests in the lab, and learned that these red markings are from the respective victim's blood. Correct? He simply nodded, seemingly unimpressed with our discovery. It was like he was waiting for us to catch up with him. Like he was the teacher, and us his disappointing students. That bastard. The door opened behind me. "Detective, you've got a phone call." I got up and walked out the door, pausing for a moment to snatch another look at Mr. Woods. He looked right back at me and tilted his head, like a confused dog, minus the creepy smile. I picked up the phone. "I'm at work. What is it, Lori?" "Brandon, hello?" "Yes, honey, it's me. What is it?" "Sorry, I didn't want to bother you, but I found an envelope sitting at the door, and it's got this huge blob of red paint on it. I have no idea. Is it from your work? Also, Michael hasn't come home yet, and his classes ended hours ago." I dropped the phone when I heard the most hideous and vile laughter I have ever heard coming from the interrogation room. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this week's video. If you did, you know what to do. Smack that like button, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Shout out to the author of this video, the Reddit user HorrorMode. HorrorMode. That's a badass name, and I'm pretty jealous that he got it. So good job to you on writing the story and getting the username. I'll leave a link in the description down below where you can check out more of their stories because they're all doozies, and I really enjoyed reading this one. Guys, this Thursday is the day, Halloween 2019. If you're not doing anything at around 8 p.m. Central Time, join me for a live stream, why don't ya? I'll be doing a live stream at 8 p.m. Central Time here on YouTube, and I'll probably go live on Instagram as well. But for the things I have planned, I'm going to be trying to share my screen, which is harder than it sounds, that's what she said, on a Mac than it is on a PC. So if you're going to tune in, if you have access to YouTube, I suggest doing that. But if you can't and you want to join on Instagram, you can do that too. Looking forward to it. It's going to be an hour long, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time. And then at 9 p.m., I'll be posting a bonus video for the week. It will be part 3 to the Haunted House series that I've been doing for the past couple weeks. The author sent me a note saying that part 3 is up. I'm not sure if there'll be a part 4, so this might be the finale. If not, I'll keep them going. But either way, part 3 posting this Thursday on Halloween at 9 p.m. Central Time. Live stream before that, 8 p.m. Central Time. I hope to see you there. If you guys have any questions, drop them below. Otherwise, until next time, remember to stay safe out there. I'll be seeing you in the next video.